record. That would be amazing.
We're good.
All right, I just didn't see it over here. Excellent. So welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. We have a special guest tonight, and I'm so excited that she's here. Marissa and I have been friends for 5 or 6 years now. I think I counted 7 the other night, but I think I already had kids, and Gavin's not 7 yet. So 5 or 6 years. We met in mom's groups, and we just watching our kids grow up together and being able to do this together now. It's been super awesome. And I always tell this funny story when Marissa and I are together. Marissa actually invited me to this opportunity about 3.5 years ago, and I don't even think I replied, or maybe I did and was like, no, that's not for me, block. I blocked her, I unfriended her, and then come to find out, like, it all happens for a reason. We're still here together. We're still doing this together. Even though we're on opposite sides of the team, we're still here, and I still get to share this amazing experience with her and go to her when I need help. She was a huge part of this starting out for me in the beginning. I could call her and be like, Marissa, I have no idea what's going on. Help me. So I'm so glad that she's here. I'm so glad that God just has a way of putting us where we need to be. And even though we're not, like, I'm not under her, we're not directly anywhere, we still have amazing support together, and we get to do this together. So I'm so excited. This is Marissa. She is a premier coach. She's a 3-star diamond. She's a Success Club 5 all-star legend. She is a team leader, mom of 5, you guys, 5. Member of our Tampa Market Council, and I'm just so glad she's here to talk to you guys tonight. All right, take it away, girl.
Yay! Thank you. I'm so excited, you guys. And I'm a total sapphire. So, like, when I hear the recognition, I get so excited by that because I know how freaking hard we worked through all that. Like, that is hard work. So Danielle, thank you so much. Danielle actually guest hosted my call last week, and she had some awesome insight for my team. And so I'm very excited to repay that. So it's recording. So if life happens behind the scenes, that's okay. It will be recorded as soon as it's processed. I'll send the link over to Danielle too. But so a little bit about me. What I'll do is let me screen share. I'm just going to screen share my actually cover photo that I recently redid on Facebook. So I use my PowerPoint on here. They're not fancy schmancy slides, but just a little bit so you guys can see. So yes, I do. I have 5 children. Usually when that's said, people are like, OMG. And I have to be honest, that was a huge reason why in the beginning I was very hesitant to sign up. I was very nervous that nobody would ever relate to somebody with 5 children, to be honest. So I want to take a couple of minutes to explain how I started, how my journey started with coaching. And after my 5th, they're all biologically my children. I have 4 sons and a daughter, and very close. Finally figured out what to cause babies, got that down. And after my 5th, my body it crapped out. It was horrible for me because I realized in hindsight I was really blessed because I was athletic and worked out because I wanted to, not because I had to. And after my son was born, 6 months after that, I was so large, I couldn't fit into extra large maternity clothes. I was not in any photos. When people say, no, you weren't that big, I was beyond a size 16. And for my body, I should be around a size 4. And so I just didn't exist in any photos. So I did what I think a lot of people start trying to do, is I looked for quick fixes. So I actually started with CrossFit first, which I loved CrossFit. I wasn't allowed to go to gyms because I had too many kids. I wasn't allowed to bring my kids. So the ratio took up too much. So I found CrossFit from a friend from church and loved it. Loved the camaraderie of CrossFit. In a perfect world, CrossFit would have daycare and I'd be able to hit that every single day, but it wasn't able to. So I was able to do it 3 days a week. And what I learned from CrossFit was the camaraderie and the teamwork. I was always the heaviest one. I was always the last one finished, always. But the cool thing about the box was nobody left until I was done. So if that meant it was 5:45 in the morning and everybody had finished 10 minutes before me, they came out and ran in with me. And that's a lot of that team culture that I've brought in with my team from CrossFit, was as far as no man left behind. It didn't matter where I was in the totem pole. People always included me, and it was amazing to be a part of that. After that, I jumped into Nutrisystem for 4 months. So again, looking for a quick fix, looking for something that, okay, I'll be able to do this and it'll fix everything and it'll last forever. Now, I started to lose weight because of the portion control. But after 4 months, I realized not only was I spending $500 to $600 a month on my meals, I wasn't learning how to make them. They were all processed foods. I had no idea once I was going to get off it, how on earth I was going to maintain that. And I was also getting what I kind of call that thin fat, where you start to lose weight, but then you have the skin, you're not toned, you know what I mean? Like, it's not all about the numbers, it's not all about the scale, and I had a very challenging time navigating through that next season. During that time, my now coach, Brittany Leggett, she and I went to high school together, but Brittany and I never knew each other in high school. I was friends with her sister, Taylor, and she had been doing what a good coach does by being engaged on my feed and liking and private messaging me. And she had invited me 4 or 5 times to these groups. And each time I was like, no, I was doing CrossFit. No, actually I decided to do Nutrisystem, not Beachbody. And then about the 4th or 5th month, I was like, okay, tell me about Beachbody. But I can't work out at the beach. Like, I had no idea what Beachbody was. And so she was so cute. She was like, no, you don't work out at the beach. Like, no, Marissa, that's not how this works. She's like, it's at-home programs, so you don't have to leave, which would work really well because you've got like a village of kids and you wouldn't have to go anywhere. And then I kind of freaked out, and I, was like, is it Richard Simmons, like jazz hand stuff? And I'm like, oh, that's so not cool. Like, I want to be a cool person. Like, I want to be cool someday. I'm like, that's not cool. She's like, no, it's legit. Like, it's awesome. The guys are hot in the videos. I'm like, she formed me perfectly. She knew exactly what to do. She knew exactly how to overcome every single one of my objections in a authentic, transparent, and relatable way. And in a relatable way, I do want to put out there, I had 5 kids. She had none. So I want to put out there that you guys are going to be able to connect with people in all seasons of life, and half my team aren't even parents, but we still, half the time, I don't think I'm a parent, so that's cool. I'm like, no, Mom, I'm totally cool. But, it's one of those things I do want to put out there, that we connected on such a deep, authentic, real level in 2 totally different seasons of life. And I decided to sign up as a challenger. I did Insanity, and I almost died. But Insanity gave me my killer transformation. And I was drinking chocolate vegan. And after about 6 weeks, she had been asking about the coaching opportunity, and I kept going back and forth. And we were on vacation with my family in Tennessee. And my husband is a physician, and so it was a season of my life where it wasn't an income-driven thing for me. We had 5 kids, and life was full as it was, and I was still learning who I was at that point. But something went off when I was on vacation, and I messaged her, and I didn't have internet there, so I had to get on the interstate with my flip phone dinosaur phone. I built a diamond with a dinosaur phone, by the way, with no internet, so it's totally possible. Drove down the interstate to get reception, and was like, I'm ready. I'm in the mountains, I have no internet, and I won't be able to work this for another 6 or 7 days till I get home, but I am ready. And that is when it all started for me. I was in one from day one. There was no discount coaching. There was no tiptoeing in with coaching. I knew that the way I felt in those challenge groups and seeing what coaching was behind the scenes was exactly what I needed in my life at that time. It was a perfect fit for me, and it gave me this army of friends. And, that's something that on this call, I'm really going to emphasize when we get into it about some of the events and whatnot. But beyond the physical transformation for me, it was having a crew of really positive people. I I didn't realize it at the point, but I was around a lot of negative, toxic people who were just complaining, and just, there was always something wrong, and they were the victim of their life, and it was everybody else's fault. And really, that was a huge appeal for me for coaching. So going into coaching, it came with this incredible crew of happy people who had heavy stuff they were going through, but who are always there and who always saw the silver lining. And my mentality changed very quickly when I signed on as a coach. It was not a why me type thing. It was a why not me? Like I was made to do this. I know I can do this. And that's how I really jumped into coaching. So with my children, so we've got four boys and a girl. And I'm going to touch on the next one only for a couple minutes. And some of you may have been coaches when everything happened, and some of you may not. You may not know this story, but obviously Danielle was a part of this. So I'm gonna go into this as well. A lot of what I wanted to talk about tonight is how life just throws curveballs at you. And when you live your life out loud, and as you do as a coach, how hard it is to maintain a business of positivity, being authentic, and helping others when it's falling apart behind the scenes. And, you know, there was a situation last year, and this is something I won't spend too much time on, but it was a pivotal moment for me as a coach. And I had, my son ended up getting very sick very quickly with something called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. And just in a nutshell, it is something that can be spontaneous based on a medication. He had children's Tylenol, which he'd had many, many times before. But he also had a cold, and they don't know which it was from. But happened very quickly. His body started to burn from the inside out. I know I private messaged Danielle some of those pictures. Those pictures aren't ever out there. But basically, he lost all of his skin. And it was so severe. After a day, All Children's Hospital was like, our ICU can't handle it. You have to go. So they sent us to Tampa General Burn Unit, where he got in. They put him in a coma, and he was mummified and wrapped. And it was the hardest season of my life. And you know, it's one of those times that I think every coach is going to face, where you're going to have life just kick you on your butt, whether it's going to be your family, whether it's going to be your finances, whether it's going to be your marriage, whether it's going to be your parenting, whether it's going to be illness, crisis, catastrophe. Something's going to happen. If it hasn't happened, it will happen. That's just life. That's just the way it is. And I think that is the caveat. That's a hard part with our business, is that when it happens, you can't disappear, and you can't let it all fall apart. And so with Kyan, I was in the hospital, and you know, you can see the thumbs up for Kyan right there. So you can see his thumb. That was his entire body, was completely wrapped. And I had just been put on the Tampa Market Council, and I had fought for that position. I'm going to tell you guys, being on the Market Council here was not something that just happened. I was involved in the community, and I fought very hard. I was not just a diamond coach, but in that regard, I was a diamond coach. I was not a star diamond coach yet. You know, we have Matway, we have Stay, we've got a lot of heavy names in this area, and I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't have those accolades and those titles yet, and that longevity in the business. But I fought for it, and I had my coach go to bats for it, and I kept calling corporate and emailing corporate, so I finally got put on. Not only that, they put me in charge of the Super Saturday last January. I was the event coordinator. It turned out to be the biggest one that we've had. It was 930 coaches. Carl came in, Autumn came in. It was massive. It was huge. And this is when this happened. And I remember being on a Zoom hangout like this, a Google hangout like this with some of the Market Council. And we're like, we got it. You know, like, not an issue. Like, this, like, your son is dying. Like, stop, we got it. And, you know, in that moment, I realized just how much I needed coaching. Coaching really, really saved me from myself. It saved me from the dark depression that I saw most parents in the ICU going through, and half of them, they lost their children. I saw the inner strength that came from me from making my health a priority and going up to the helipad every single day to push play and work out and have that 30 minutes break. But then I also saw the community of coaching, and it went international, and people that I never met before and who banded together. And what I'm trying to say is that life is going to really knock you down sometimes. And unfortunately, it's not one punch. It's kind of a jab, jab, right hook, right? You guys probably are familiar with that book. And that's kind of how I coach now, with a 1-2 punch type thing. But I feel like that's what life is, and that's what life gives you. And I failed and missed way more goals in this business than I've hit. But I can tell you that I've hit them. I'm much further ahead because I had those goals. But the biggest thing is, guys, is you just don't quit. You just don't quit. I don't think that people talk about what goes on behind the scenes, about the missed ranks, about the dropped ranks. Every single coach drops ranks. Every single coach drops ranks. And sometimes you see those shiny titles and those big things about like, woo, 10-star, 15-star. And then you don't talk about that one week that was missed, so you don't get the bonus. Or you don't talk about how you go from 15-star to 6-star. That's not talked about. And I think that really needs to be driven home, that every single coach that you guys see, whether they're a top coach or an emerald coach, goes through it. I've had 7 lifetime diamond coaches. We're still a 3-star team, which is an amazing, like, we've busted our butt to get there. But I want to say that because those coaches get knocked off and don't fight back. And you're not my team. And I want to tell you guys, everybody has it in them to get to whatever goal they want to, but you're going to get knocked off of it. And out of my 7, it's the 3 who continued to rebuild after that. I've watched Danielle do that with her team. I've watched a lot of coaches completely rebuild teams, go from maybe 10 personally sponsored coaches to 2. And that's not to say I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to prepare you that what you're going to go through is normal. It's just not talked about. And that gets me going sometimes, because it needs to be. People need to know that this is real and that happens. And that is why, not a lot of people are going to get to that level, because it's too hard, because their excuses outweigh their reasons. And you need to flip that. Kine is a big part of my reason. He's actually a big part of my name, Team Ignite. I watched that fire burn, and it was a pivotal moment in all of our lives and my coaching career. But on top of that, I watched what happened with the community, and I watched what happened with my friends, and I really put into perspective why I was in this, what my why was. So what I want, sorry, I'm not going to cuss. So on here, what I wanted to break down 4 things for you guys on when life is going to knock you down, because it will, and what you're going to have to mentally do. And these are things that I think have helped a ton, and you've probably already heard them in some different regards. A lot of it's from this book, You Are a Badass, and I'm sure that you guys have all probably heard it if you haven't read it. I love this book because she writes the way that I feel like I talk. I'm like, that is so a Marissa-ism. I say that. That is amazing. I can't cuss like that, but I say that. But anyway, I think she does a great job of really breaking it down and getting down to the nitty-gritty, that things aren't always perfect, and you got to figure it out. So I think as far as coaching goes, as far as advancing, whether your why is to come home from work, whether your why is income driven, whether your why is recognition driven, my why now is 180 from what it was. I was recognition driven in the beginning, and I did it because of the friends and for helping people. And I'm still obviously in it to help people. You can't advance in this business if you're not in to serve people. You have to serve, not sell. That's how we all work. But I it's different now. I'm in a different season of life now. I feel like my back's against the wall, and very income driven now. And so with that shift comes, with that shift in my season also comes a mentality shift. And, number one is to really act as if. That was something that my coach really drove into me on. And I vividly remember this. This was 2 years ago at what was called, they had a little Florida rally with Brittany Hefner, Stay, and Matt Way. And it was down here. And I remember Katie was talking about when she joined the team, how Lindsay was doing these calls and how she thought she was making like $2 to $3 grand a week because the way she was talking and her conviction. And then she started laughing. Katie's laughed. She goes, she's making like $300 a week. But for me, I remember that because if you act as if, it's the fake it till you make it type thing. It's not lying to people, but it's that confidence and that aura that you portray that people are attracted to. Okay. I have coaches who had to take, they didn't have to, they chose to take time off. And I told them, and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rebuild. I said, don't you dare say I'm back. People don't want to join with somebody who left. You need to continue on with the momentum and continue to fill your news feed with value. And you have to act as if you've been there and you've been going through the motions and you're there. And so I think that for me, at least, I have to act as if this is where it needs to be. There is no plan. Plan A works when there's no plan B. I truly believe that. When your back is against the wall is when it's going to work. And not everybody's there, and that's okay. But it takes catastrophe, whether it's illness or finances or something like that. And when it has to work, it will. You'll figure out a way. Number two is to upgrade your environment. And this, again, is so simple, guys, but I can't tell you how much this helps me. Clean off your workspace. I remember last year when Danielle did that, and they moved, and she did like a kind of a clean sweep behind her. Give yourself an hour and just purge. Purge the crud off your desk. Go out, spend 30 or 40 bucks on a big, massive whiteboard. Make it a clean space where there's no guesswork to what comes next. You all should be tracking. You know that. Your coach can't help you unless she can know where the deficits are. So you should be tracking your behaviors with your business activity trackers. You should be capturing your follow-ups with your follow-ups. All of that's in the Coach Online office. I have to say almost none of that was there when I started as a coach. There was no Coach Basics training in the back office. There was no challenge group templates. There was nothing like that. So don't reinvent the wheel on it. Utilize it. Don't think that you have to create this whole new system. But what you do need to do is you need to have a lockdown space, whether it's a corner of a kitchen counter or wherever it is, guys. I'm telling you, you have to have that quarantine area. For me, I'm in the midst of a transition. And so when I go in, it's communicated. I'm working. Doors closed. Or I'm working. This is my door. Knock on my desk. I've done that before. When there has been no door. It's like, if you need me, knock. They need to understand that, okay? Number three, make a vision board. And I know that you probably heard that time and time again, but I can't tell you how important that is. If you guys are a new coach or if you're a coach who have gone through a huge transition, if your goals are very different, if your why is very different, you need to figure out what motivates you personally, okay? What motivated me 3 years ago when I signed up as a coach is not what motivates me now. And so that's something that if you guys don't have a vision board, or if you have one from 2015 and you just never took the time to do it. Figure it out. Talk to Danielle, talk to your coach, figure out exactly what they feel is important to put on that vision board and go from there. Okay, but I can tell you that seeing that, my coach is a huge person when it comes to visualization. And so for that Paris trip, she had like 3 Paris pictures and posters, and she made it to Paris as a top 10 coach. So that type of stuff is huge. And I know Danielle gave a great, feedback or great tip last week, for my girls, is to write it out on your mirrors or wherever. And I did that. I should have taken a picture to show you. I did that. I have a whole thing in my bathroom mirror. So things like that. Remember why. and never quit on a bad day, okay? Those types of things are gonna help you. You're gonna wanna quit on bad days. And those are the days that you just gotta walk away from the computer, suck it up, and just say, you know what? Tomorrow's another day. Number 4, surround yourself with people who think the way you want to think. And I wish I could say that every single person in coaching world is like that, and they're not, okay? There still are negative kind of Nancy's. There's people who are going to find every reason why this doesn't work. Don't be one of those. If you're on this call, you're not one of those, obviously. But don't get sucked into that, okay? I have what I call fires in the downline occasionally, where somebody says something or there's a personal conflict with somebody, and then I have to be the leader, and then I have to step in, and that's hard. That's really hard because I really want to be a cheerleader most of the time and be like, yeah, go team. I hate being the one who has to be like, corners, we need to stop. Why are we in this? Because if we're not in this for the right reasons, then you're not on the right team. But I can't stress that enough, you guys. That goes with family too. Surround yourself with people who are going to lift you higher and who don't belittle your goals and your motives, because your goals and your vision is probably going to sound crazy to pretty much everybody but you and your coach and your team, okay? It's important to make sure that your family understands, and they don't have to agree with it all, but to make sure that you guys are communicating that. Learn from me. Please learn from me, okay? Learn from me in my marriage on that. Make sure that you're communicating how much this means to you, and that you're not going behind closed doors and doing stuff and they're just like, she's surfing the internet for an hour. Are you kidding me? But in reality, you're doing what you should be doing. You're probably holding 10 to 20 conversations at one time, right? But if they don't know, they don't know, okay? So you really do need to surround yourself with people who think the way that you want to think and have your best interests at heart, even if they don't understand them. You communicate it to them the best way they know, that you know how, okay? And that goes with friends, that goes with church, and that goes with your team. When I was a new coach, I want to tell you guys, I was a heavy retailer, very heavy retailer. I didn't hit Emerald. I call myself an Emerald tortoise. I did not hit Emerald till I was over 4 months as a coach. Now, in hindsight, I should have signed my dog up, but I was petrified of inviting to the coaching opportunity. And then once I finally got the hang of it, once 2 or 3 people finally told me no, and I didn't die, I was like, oh, that's all you got is a no? You'll see one day, you'll see light. That's fine, okay. Move on to the next and keep sharing your light and keep adding context. And you get into a groove once X amount of people tell you no and they give you a really hard objection, but your why is way stronger than to get upset about what their objection was. And you're just like, that's cool, go for 20 no's today. That's fine, got it. But hold on, I had a point. What's the point on that one? Jeez Louise. I had a good point on that one too. Go for no's. Oh, but I remember when I was pushing for Diamond, and I was very, very close. I had my Emeralds, and then I was 1 personally sponsored coach away, or 2 personally sponsored coaches away. And there was a gal who was in the challenge group with me, one of my customers, who's very negative, but she wanted to sign up as a coach. I'm like, okay, great. And I remember my coach having a real heart-to-heart. She goes, not everybody's going to fit the culture of your team, and it's okay to push back a goal and to not say yes to someone if you don't feel that that's going to be a fit. And you guys, that was some of the best advice when I was pushing to Diamond, because I could tell if that toxicity would have gotten into my team as a new kind of baby Diamond team, I would have had to battle that every day. Okay, so when it comes to your team, you're your own boss, you lead your team, and it's okay to say no. I've redirected people out that just, not a lot, but some people, and I can tell they're just not a groove. They're not a fit for my team, and that's okay. Just and that wasn't at all with Danielle and I, but just like Danielle said, that was important for my team to hear last week, because I think sometimes people think everybody says yes. You want to sign up as a coach? Absolutely! Amazing! And that's not it. That's not it at all. So people are going to have a connection with somebody. I had a connection with my coach who had no kids over a coach who had 4 kids. but that's because there was just a connection. There was just a connection there. There was a connection there. Okay, so surround yourself with people. Now, I'm not going to spend too much longer on everything, but I wanted to give you guys, this looks kind of just going to get it right, but that's good. So I wanted to give you guys some tips on things that have worked really well for me as far as posting, especially the past 6 months. So past 6 months have emotionally and mentally been very draining. A lot of personal battles going on behind the scenes, and I always have to remind myself that everybody's fighting a battle you know nothing about. However, as a coach, part of your job is living out loud, okay? And I've had periods of time where I feel like 90% of what's going on can't be talked about, and that's just the season of life that I was and still am in. So things like quotes have been huge for me. I think we're all probably aware of the 80-20 rule, post 80% about your life and the value and 20%, about Beachbody. So if you have, 5 posts a day, one needs to be Shakeology, related, the rest needs to be about sharing your journey and what's going on. You're not a coach, you're Marissa, who does coaching, but is also a mom of 5 and who also is an adrenaline junkie and also doesn't know how to stop talking half the time. And that's me. So quotes, when you guys are going through a really hard time, really connect with people. And what helps me is I usually do 1-2 little tagline on the top, and I hashtag it with share. And some of these basic quotes have gotten 40 to 50 shares and 100 likes from a quote. But what it says to me is people are navigating very similar seasons of life. This really resonates with people. And you have to remember that sometimes a mundane post is better than no post at all. You guys are in tears. If your life falls apart, if something is happening behind the scenes, not that I don't care, it's just get something out there. And some days, this might be all that you can do. This, clean eating recipe, Shakeology, and a picture of the kids or a selfie driving to work. That might be what you can handle that day. But I'm telling you that I've noticed the past 6 months, people relate to these. Some are I've got a, kind of quirky, that's just who I am. And so some of the funny things people get and some of the really hit home things. But hashtag that with share, you guys. I'm telling you. And if you do that daily, I do a post daily. People come to my page now. Cold Market comes to my page. And that's what I get a lot of behind the scenes from is, your page is a breath of fresh air. Like, I really needed that, or that really helped. They're not my quotes, but I repurpose them and share them. So anyway, if you guys are going through something really hard, these have helped tremendously. Along with personal development, which I'm not going to get into because you guys know what you need to be doing on that. Another thing is these are, I think it helps if you talk to yourself when you post. So you post to yourself, right? I know Lindsay Stay always, she's great about being like, it's a reality show. Like, it's a reality show. Like, I'm totally Kim Kardashian. Like, that is me. Like, it is a reality show. And I think sometimes that's really important to remember that, people are going to see what you want them to see. And even if there's things that you can't say, you're not dumb. They can read between the lines. Okay. So, the chocolate beef, I'm just silly and I am obsessed with hoverboarding. So that was just a quirky way of me sharing Shakeology. That's just different than a selfie. And sometimes I hover around and do a selfie video. Anyway, that's really fun. But these other ones are ones that have gotten a lot of shares or a lot of likes or a lot of engagement behind the scenes with private messages. And it's really me talking to myself. Victim mentality not allowed. Do you know what works really well for me is when I tackle objections head on. And it's scary because sometimes people the money objection, probably that's everybody's number one. And for me, when I was a newer coach, I had started the fitness funds group and I was like, okay, people can't afford this. And I get it because it's a lot of money. And we started fitness funds group, and that was 2.5 years ago. And that turned into a really big thing. And people started doing change for change with fitness funds or things like that. And they save $2 or $3 every day for 60 days. So then they're able to purchase it at a certain time. But what I'm saying is look at those objections that you might have mentally as well and tackle those. Victim mentality not allowed. That was a big thing for me. I would look in the mirror and I'm like, poor me, why me? It's all happening to me. My life is so hard. Like, nobody understands, cry me a river. Like, I get in funks like that. I still get in funks like that, whether it's business, finances, relationship, or parenting. It happens. These types of posts help. The other one was a really big one that generated a ton of traffic behind the scenes. And I can copy and paste the words to it, but it was a really basic one. I was getting some not so nice things behind the scenes, and that's going to happen. If you guys start to get little like negative Nancy's behind the scenes, that's how you know you made it. Because you're standing up for something when you don't fall for anything. Okay, that's how you know. You're like, good. I'm standing up for something. It's resonating with people, and not everybody's going to agree with me. And that's what that one was. So instead of going on and complaining about it, I found a silver lining for it, and I put a little thing up, and I was like, repeat after me. What other people think of me is none of my business. None of my business. And things like that generate so much engagement behind the scenes because so many people are going through that type of stuff. But what I'm trying to get at is the way you guys share it. I could be sharing the same message, but it's relayed in two totally different ways. So if you guys, in that, I'm not going to call that bullying, but just kind of nasty stuff, instead of venting about it, be like, I don't care. This is what I do. I love what I do. And you can say whatever you want, da-da-da-da. Like, no, take a step back, go push play, find a quote that really emulates exactly what I'm feeling right now, and use it for the greater good, and hashtag share. And that got shared a lot. Okay, some other things too, and I know Danielle and I had talked about this before as well, but again, like tackling your objections head on. So a big objection that I've gotten probably the past year is in Clearwater, there's a big in-person type connection going on. Obviously, Danielle runs fit clubs. A lot of coaches do, Saturday workouts, things like that. And as much as I want to, I was really beating myself up. I'm like, I can't compete with that. I physically can't get out with all these kids because my husband he works nights sometimes, the schedule's all over the place. So I found a way to conquer that objection, and this has helped so much. So a 5 a.m. virtual boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is actually open to anybody. We have it within our challenge groups, but it's open to anybody. And I've actually had some challenger conversions from people who have like an old school P90X join for a couple of weeks. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, okay, I see you drinking Shakeology, which is strategically placed behind me as I work out. Like, what is that? Oh my goodness. So anyway, when it comes to objections, my biggest thing that I can tell you guys is just don't brush them off. Say, okay, I've gotten this like 5 times this week. How can I overcome this in a way that isn't going to destroy me, that's not going to kill me, trying to make it happen because other people want this? People wanted camaraderie in person. This is the best I could do, and I'm telling you, it worked really, really, really great. Some of my new challenge packs and coach signups recently have come from, I don't know, I've never seen that. That's like, I'm in Canada and I get to work out with you, and that's totally awesome because people here are just like mean and nasty, and I hate my work environment, and I'm really overweight and I don't feel comfortable going to the gym, but at the same time, like, I feel like I need somebody there a couple times a week to be like, you got this. I'm sweating it out with you, So things like that, guys. Look at the objections that you're getting, whether it's finances, whether it's relationships, motivational stuff. Do a motivational challenge group. Get your favorite motivational book and include that as part of it. If you're getting people who are just going through divorces or really hard seasons of life, utilize that. Say, okay, how can I help them in a way that's not about a sale? Because it never is about the sale. But anyway, that helps tremendously. And the last one I was trying to put together, and then my froze earlier. But the last one, I can't emphasize this enough. Events. Wherever you guys are. I don't know if you guys are all in Clearwater, Florida, but wherever you are, get to your Super Saturdays. Make it a mission to get on the Success Club trips. Get your butt to Nashville. I remember right after Danielle signed up, you know, we were talking often, you know, about placement and walking through some things. And she's like, oh my gosh, I think I should go to that. And I really want her to. I'm like, you should go to Nashville. Or that was Vegas. It was Vegas, I think. I think it was Vegas. You know, and she wanted it so bad. Like, she was crying on the phone. Like, she wanted it so bad. And I can't emphasize enough. And this world that you see on social media now of kind of social network marketing, these events make it real, make people want to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of it. I signed up as a coach in August after I saw Brittany go to Las Vegas for her first summit in July. And that resonated with me because I'm like, gosh, that's so cool. Like, it seems so nice. Like, they're friends and there's no babies there. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of that. It was like really cool. And just don't let this only become online. Don't let it only become online. Make these a priority. This dodgeball one, Danielle was actually walking by with this habit. I have like a really hard time, like, just sitting and hanging. And so, like, I go off grid when I go places, but with this one, they had an announcement for Beachbody Dodgeball, and all my girls were like playing out. I'm like, I can go to dodgeball. And we won. I don't know how I won. Like, I don't know how I lived. I was kind of like, just trying to live in the back. But anyway, it was so much fun. And just things like that, like, that's who I am, and that's who I've always been. But it's only these opportunities that I have that I get to kind of come out in that again. You know, you guys get it. Like, once high school is over, once college is over, you don't have these social group type things that you really have the opportunity to get a hold of. And I can't emphasize that enough, guys. If you haven't been to an event, make it a priority. Be it next Super Saturday, just make it a priority. Please make it a priority wherever you're at. Get on the list for Nashville. Get on Punta Cana. Get your Success Club points. Go to leadership meetings. We have those every couple of months. So anyway, I hope I gave you guys some good nuggets. I know sometimes I'm all over the place, but that's just how I am. But I'm really excited I was able to speak to you, and the call's recorded too. So once it gets processed, Danielle, I will send a link to you. But does anybody have it? I know we went over. Does anybody have any questions? Sorry.
Okay. That was amazing. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions before we all pass out?
Maine and Vermont. That's where everybody is?
Yeah. I was going to tell you that Heather runs her fit club in New Hampshire. It's amazing. She's so good. And Jonna, my other coach, who's so close to Diamond, who's not on the call, has 2 fit clubs now. She does one at night and one in the morning now. So they're like 2 different age groups. So she does like one in the morning, and it's a little bit slower pace, and then one in the afternoon for everybody else. It's really cool. My team is so awesome. I love them.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. That's amazing. Way to go, Heather. That's, yeah. And Danielle, I always see Danielle's team. I was like, I need to get it. So there's always a way to overcome it. But those events, and if you can only make it to one, selfie the heck out of it. And live it, connect with people. You know, the New Leader Conference this past January, I qualified for it. I went to it. I flew to California. And for me, that was huge. You know, my goal last year was elite. And, you know, I didn't hit it, but I know if it wasn't elite, I wouldn't hit premier. My goal was premier. I would have hit premier. I know that for a fact. Mm-hmm. So, but those types of environments I connected with, and a lot of the people that I work with behind the scenes now in the coaching world are because of that. And just make your name known with corporate. I mean, I just bombarded the regional guy who was my guy for a while, Craig, and like with everything. And then Keyshawn, like, you're going to hear me. You're going to recognize me.
I know who I am when I walk in the room.
I am. But I just don't, I feel like most of the time people don't hear that. Mm-hmm. And they just assume that people flock to them. And I promise it doesn't, I promise it doesn't happen that way. You know, like, unless you get like 247, 48 success good points, like, you know, something like that. That's a little different. But, you know, if you're slaying your business, you know, go above and beyond and make yourself heard and known. So especially Maine and Vermont. That's so cool. Yeah. But anybody have any questions?
We're good?
Good. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad we could do this.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so happy, you guys. I know that some of you guys got on the 8 to 9 o'clock, right? The event right before. So I commend you. Your time is precious. So taking 2 hours out of your night to build your business, it's those sacrifices. Yeah. Makes it happen. Okay. All right. Well, night, guys. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thanks again, Marissa.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye.